most people here might think about why do we need to take care of this kind of issue, the drone, the space attack, the rocket? Only the national people, national government should care about this kind of issue, right? But in practice, due to many different reasons, a lot of private sector and the company, they have to use the satellite network solution. For example, the ship at the sea or high-speed railway in the city is very impossible for them to use the physical cable network, right? And also the Japanese company KDDI, they mentioned about in the tweets, they say due to the concern of the environmental concerns, they have to give out a solution of using the physical cable network. Instead, they choosing the satellite network solution. And also, we know a lot of factory or industry building such a location which is very difficult to use the 5G mobile signal, which means maybe choosing the network solution. Satellite network solution is the only one option for them to use to fetch the network from the factory. But the problem is choosing the satellite network is that secure or not? The answer is no. And it's very interesting, even the US government and Canada's government think about the theory about choosing satellite network is very secure, this theory. And according to the document from the Department of Defense from Canada and the US, the government people say in this document, the government people say because the satellite signal wave in the air is too complicated, so which means no one can have the ability to decode those on the air data, to decode those on the air satellite signal into usable information. But this theory based on the devices, the equipment is too expensive. No people, no hacker, no researcher possible to have such devices to decode the signal in the air. But every decade, we know a lot because more and more people want to introduce satellite network into their industry. Even we know the iPhone's new feature in the iPhone 14, new feature is SOS message over the satellite network, right? So even our own iPhone have occupied such a feature to use in satellite network than before. So it's more easier than ever to have such equipment to decode those on the air satellite network than before. So you might say, it's okay because just maybe some bad guy have the equipment or devices can possible to decode our satellite network, right? The signal could be decoded by the bad guy. But what is the key point? What is the is that really doesn't matter to bad guy to do something harmful to us, to our industry? Yeah, indeed. According to Oxford University's researchers say in the 2021 paper, the researcher from the Oxford, the researchers say, in the now stage in 2021 to 2024, right now in the now stage, a lot of people still using the satellite network in an unsecure, without any encryption right now. Why? Because the satellite network is too slow. The network speed is too slow to use. So this fact leads to those people using the satellite network in the unsecure plaintext mode. For example, using the satellite network to receive POP3 email in a plaintext mode, or using a FTP protocol to download a file from FTP server with a username and password credential, or also using a plaintext unencrypted mode to log on a remote Windows desktop by the RTP protocol. So this fact, which means if any bad guy have the ability to decode those on the air satellite signal, which means any bad guy could possible to sniffer to hear what is your username and password credential on the air data. So we want to go deeper to study the whole attack, space attack. It consists of three different parts. The first is satellites in the space and the ground station by the network provider, and also your satellites terminal, user terminal, and a victim's user terminal. Okay, so first, we study the recent all the attack around 3 different parts, from the black hat, from the Usenet, from the security and the privacy, and we conclude all the possible happen industry impact on these 3 different parts. So let's first to go into the ground side to see what happens, what kind of attack could be happen on the ground side, our victim's user terminal or ground station by the network provider. So first, we want to conclude those attacks specific to attack our user terminal or attack our network ground station provider. We can conclude this kind of activity is pure, very common, classic APT activity. As we know, due to the high increase, the more than ever demand to using the satellite network, so the fact lead to the manufacturer, the satellite manufacturer and the vendor need to produce more than ever product to fit the need on the market. So which means in such a large scale production their product than ever. So maybe the vendor, the manufacturer of the satellite network vendor, they have to reduce their costs in such a large scale production. So for example, you maybe buy some satellite modem from the US or from the Europe, but basically your component of your satellite product is the component is from the China or from the Russian, which means if the vendor or manufacturer choose more cheaper component from the China, from the Russian, which means we know if a component is more cheaper, which means it's the code quality maybe not good enough, maybe some kind of software vulnerability will inside such a cheaper component. So will lead to national government like China's government, national APT group can abuse such a supply chain attack, do something real harmful to our industry. So let's see evidence in the Russians' invasion of the Ukraine in 2022. And at the beginning of the invasion, Russian hacker successfully take control and hack into the Viasat management server by the misconfigured VPN credential. And it's basically default username and password like root or root 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. This very basic vulnerability supply chain attack inside the Viasat management server. And once Russian hackers successfully hack into Viasat management server, and Russian hacker then to send management instruction to the satellite modem of the Ukrainian people, say, hey, satellite modem, you need to wipe out your software, wipe out your firmware. So lead to during the invasion, there's no any Ukrainian people can use Viasat modem to to access the satellite network to call for help. And such an attack is very obvious, is APT activity, right? So we are not going to deeper talk about such a very obvious APT activity. What is more interesting part, most unique part in this invasion is active noise cancellation. Yeah, you might think about what noise cancellation, right? Yeah, if you know such a headphone like your AirPods Pro, your iPhone's AirPods Pro with the feature of active noise cancellation, and if you are wearing your AirPods Pro and an ambient sound, ambient noise comes to your ear, then your AirPods Pro will produce an upset, a counter signal to balance the noise to no signal to achieve the noise cancellation. And so also we know if a Ukrainian people using the Starlink terminal to send a network traffic, network request to the space, which means at the same time, the Ukraine's Starlink terminal will shoot some noise we cannot hear from ground, shoot this kind of Starlink noise from ground side to the space side. We cannot hear, but it actually carry with the data of the Starlink network packet. And we know if there is some noise from the ground side to the space side, which means if a bad guy like Russian hacker or a bad guy surrounds you, surround the victim, and any bad guy could detect, oh, some victim tried to shoot some noise carrying with the satellite signal. At the same time, bad guy can shoot another opposite, a counter signal to balance your request during the airwave and lead to satellites in the space cannot hear what you just sent to the space. Okay, so back to the war. During the invasion, Russian hackers first time used such a weapon, Turbo 1 weapon. It's basically a space jamming attack weapon. First, the Turbo 1 will turn on land to sniffer and to hear is there any environmental noise. Looks like very similar to like global star signal or Starlink signal or Viasat signal. Once Turbo 1 recognizes some signal looks like very similar to the satellite signal, at the same time the Turbo 1 weapon will shoot another counter signal to balance your signal in the air to zero signal, which means during the invasion, during the war, there's no people except Russian hacker can use satellites to do something communication by the satellite networks. And you might wondering if we are a hacker or we are a researcher, we're wondering how much if we want to achieve the same weapon technique, right? According to the IEEE Security and Privacy researcher of the CISPA, they say if you want to build your own customized ground station, you need to pay around $10 US. You can build your own customized ground station to shoot a Starlink signal into the space. And also you can rent one from the AWS ground station per minute is $3 US. Okay, so we have talked too much about the war, and in a lifetime, still a lot of cases is very similar to the space jamming attack. Like I'm a Pokemon Go player, and I want to capture different national Pokemon. So maybe I will do cheating on those on the air GPS signal, and I can do forge a fake GPS location from the A country to B country to capture more different national Pokemon Go. Okay, so you might say such an attack seems like still too expensive, right? You might say, hey, is there any attack strategy is more cheaper for us to can do in the home, right? Maybe you just mentioned the signal, the satellite signal is broadcasting everywhere. Could we have an attack strategy to abuse those on the air broadcasting data of the signal, satellite signal, and do something harmful on our industry? So first, we need to talk about what kind of signal, satellite signal is maybe the hacker in the wild attacker will interesting about. One of the most famous one is Iridium network protocol. This protocol is widely used by the US government Department of Defense to do air, land, sea communication. And this protocol is developing in 2001. It's quite an old protocol. And we just mentioned about the theory of the government people think about using and adopting satellite network is very secure. So the designer of the Iridium protocol, they say, hey, the satellite network is very secure, so we don't need to put any encryption of the protocol by design. So Iridium have such unencrypted design. During the communication, there is no any data got encryption by default. And another famous protocol, satellite protocol, is Globalstar have the same issue. And Globalstar is widely used by the Lockheed Martin to aircraft communication. And also, actually, your iPhone 14's SOS message over the satellites is adopted by this solution by the Globalstar. Okay, so you might say, okay, so we know the signal is very dangerous because that is without any encryption, right? So how do we go deeper to capture those signals on the air, right? Okay, so let's see activity by the Russian APT group Terra since 2015 to 2020. And the Russian hacker successfully to use television dishes, the satellite television dishes to capture those on the air satellite signal, then use television modulator to transform, to decode those on the air data into network packet. So that, and you might say, is that very dangerous for us, our industry? Yeah, that is. Because due to, we just mentioned, the data on the air is broadcasting everywhere. According to the Kaspersky's researchers say, if a researcher on the UK, they can successfully to sniffer the satellite signal from the Africa over Germany. It's very cross-national, very large range. So you might say, okay, so maybe somebody big guy will successfully to sniffer while I'm trying to talk with the satellite, right? Is that dangerous? Is that possible to hijack our communication? Yeah, it's possible because as we know, if a victim, a user try to using the network like using HTTP to send a HTTP request network traffic to the satellites, which means at the same time, the HTTP request will generate 3 different TCP requests, sync, SYNACK, and ACK response to the victim. So what if a bad guy or APT group, cross-national APT group, can successfully to sniffer, oh, there's a victim try to using a sync request over the satellites to a remote server. So at the same time, the bad guy can forge a fake sync ACK response to the victim, say, hey victim, I'm the real server, I want to handshake you, I'm the real one you want to handshake with, please handshake with me instead of the original server you want to handshake. So once done that, attacker can successfully to pretend they are the real server instead of the original server want to handshake to do man-in-the-middle attack. Okay, so you might say, if this attack situation might be happen, so what kind of attack situation might be happen on our industry, right? I want to specifically to mention about a lot of product on sales on the marketing to mention their satellite modem is very dangerous because if such satellite modem to allow your PLC devices or your mobile devices directly to access the satellite network through such a satellite modem, which means if your mobile over the satellite, the mobile protocol, mobile signal is without any encryption, and your mobile data over the satellite is still without any encryption, which means any bad guy, if they can sniffer your without any encryption traffic, they can successfully to pretend they are the real server instead of the real one you want to handshake with. So any bad guy can do hijacking your PLC devices over the satellites. Okay, so any evidence may be, is there any consequence if this attack successfully happen? Yeah, according to the paper Secrets in the Sky in 2019, the researchers successfully in this paper, the researcher from the UK successfully sniffer the username and password administrator credential in Germany. So the researcher from the UK successfully logged into as administrator into the wind power facility in Germany, and as an administrator do some control the wind power facility in Germany. Okay, here's some conclusion for everybody can know about such attack surface of the satellite networks. And we want to conclude the attack strategy of 3 different kind attack strategy might happen on the satellite network using on your industry. First, if your factory choosing such a satellite network without any encryption, which means any bad guy could use the television dishes to decode your on-the-air data from industry, from factory to the space. And also, if your data on the air broadcasting everywhere and without any encryption, which means bad guy could have the timing to do inject and to make a fake, a forged sync-act response to pretend they are the real server to do man-in-the-middle attack on your factory over the satellite. And also, we want to mention about there's a lot of interceptor system on sales on the marketing, like Iridium interceptor system or Global Star interceptor system. If you want, you can use around 20 kilo US dollar to buy such an interceptor system. And if you are in a range with the victim in a range around 20 kilometer, and you can successfully real-time to capture and hijack any victim using the Iridium or Global Star communication over the satellites. Okay, so here's my presentation, and feel free to take the mic, ask your question. Thank you.
Hello, Yang. Thanks for the presentation. And this study considered the security of the Starlink satellites as well?
Study about the white paper?
Yeah, like this research about the security of the satellite communication. Does it consider the security of the Starlink satellites as well?
We study from the Black Hat, and we want to conclude the impact on our industry, because a lot of study on the space attack to talk about too many about the rocket and about on the air, the satellites broken to do something harmful on the space, the satellites. So we want to moreover to conclude what kind of issue could be happening on our factory according to those papers.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all.